5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we've been seeing in the past 3 days, we started with the glories of Karthik month, the holiest of the months, different festivals of Karthik, and what is the Brata all about, how we should chant early in the morning, how should we take bath in the Brahma Muhurta, worshipping Tulsi plant, feeding Vaishnavas, reducing our own bhojan, eating, increasing our worshipping, and of course doing the Deepadahan. There are so many actually, but these are some of the prominent ones which Skanda Purana mentions. Second day we saw that how this auspicious Karthik month is helping to facilitate Sadhu Sangha. And the power of association is that it helps one to have the contact of the Supreme Lord, Hari Sparsha. And the Sparsha of the Lord can make our life, which is devoid of all rasas and mellows, filled with rasas. We saw how the conch, which is being held by the lotus hand of Krishna, and is being touched by his red lips, becomes reddened. And how Prabhupada in the purport mentions that by chanting and hearing of Hare Krishna mantra, we can also make our life sublime and blissful. We saw all these things in the second day, and the third day, yesterday, we were talking about one very important aspect of our life, and this is mentioned that, like I was talking about being at the time of exam, if you have not prepared well and you are thinking, what should I try to memorize, or can you give me some tips, the last minute tips, and we try to scramble and mug up and maybe carry some cheat sheet or something. The biggest exam that we are all going to face is the mother of all exams, the exam of exams, is the exam of death, which each one of us, no matter how confident you are feeling, how oblivious you are to the realities of life, we are going to face that. And nobody will be there at that time. What should I do? Imagine the pressure. How desperate that measure will be. That is exactly what was happening to Parikshit. Of course, he had given up, but there were so many sages, and he was asking them primarily these two questions. That you are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Especially for one who is about to die. The pain that we experience when we have something's not going well in our life, in our body, we go to hospital. You multiply that by 1,000 times or maybe 100,000 times. That's the experience of the pain, and you know it's imminent. You're seeing it. So there is a desperate need. So he's begging, show the way of perfection, and especially for one who is about to die. The word is Mriyamanasya. Mriyamanasya means who is on the threshold of death, which all of us are. And then Parikshit also mentions that, please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember and worship, and also what he should not do. Bruhi yadva viparyayam, what he should not do. What he should do, what he should hear, chant, remember and worship, and also what he should not do. And I was telling some of the things, the importance of this verse which we were discussing yesterday. What really hearing does, which many people don't know. It's not about learning transcendental knowledge. It does something, and if you didn't know what it does, the very powerful thing of hearing, see yesterday's lecture on YouTube. I'll not reveal that, but it's very powerful. But this is what Sukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit. Tasmad bharata sarvatma bhagavan ishvaro hari. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyascha ichchata bhayam. We try to memorize this verse. This is going to be our verse for this entire Karthik month. As I mentioned, there are 4 names of the Lord in this. Sarvatma, Bhagavan, Ishvaro and Hari. And there are 3 things which Sukadeva Goswami is telling Parikshit. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavya. In Sanskrit, as I was mentioning yesterday, there is one like in English, where past, present, and future. Went, he goes, he will go. But in Sanskrit, there are 5 tenses, and one of them is bidhiling. That means you must hear, you must glorify, you must remember. It's not a choice. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyascha ichchata bhayam. If you want to become fearless, if you want that all miseries of your life should go away, then engage in these 3 activities. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyascha ichchata bhayam. Tasmad is therefore. Tasmad bharata sarvatma. Bharat is referring to Parikshit, anybody who's taken birth in the dynasty of Bharat. This is what we saw yesterday. So today, I'm going to speak about the importance of hearing. This is the meditation for today. The power of hearing, or Shrotavya. Actually, in the Vedic scriptures, you will find unlimited verses, and probably one of the most potent and powerful thing that we can make use of in this conditioned life, which has got this 5 karmendriya and 5 gyanendriya, is to use these ears, which are always open. Have you seen anybody who's walking with his mouth open? Only probably sometimes somebody is asleep, maybe he'll keep his mouth open or something while asleep. Otherwise, mouth is closed, but the ears are always open. And this is the most powerful instrument which the Lord has given us to awaken our spiritual consciousness, to revive our spiritual position. So, when some of the things we think, maybe the audience is aware, because we think that we are all studying, we are all trying to practice Krishna consciousness, we are doing something and we will know. But when you ask some questions, you feel that maybe there is still a long way to go. Some banter I heard yesterday as to who's Sukadeva Goswami and who's Sutta Goswami. I'm confused. Who's this Parikshit who's coming? There was some time I was asking how many verses Dhritarashtra has spoken, and there were many of you who were confused even. Right? So what is the importance of hearing? It's a very powerful thing to understand. Very unlikely verse of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, there are many verses which directly glorify about the power of hearing, but there are some verses which you don't know it is referring to the power of hearing. And I'll tell you that, I'll ask you some questions related to that. Because see, ultimately we need to know the essence, right? That's what I've been trying to say. What is the essence? Essence of hearing is what? Who is going to benefit in this hearing? The person who is going to speak, he feels happy that he has given a talk. People have heard and appreciated. Who is the beneficiary in this? And what benefit really one gets by hearing? So what is the essence of this spiritual practice that we are trying? What is it that we are trying to achieve? And what is it that we can gain by these things doing properly? So, I thought there's one purport of Prabhupada where Prabhupada is saying, this is the context, that the living entity can take one of the 2 positions in this world. Just one of the 2 positions. He may become a servant of his senses, or he may become master of them. By becoming a servant of the senses, one becomes a great material hero. There are so many heroes that we have. So you become a great material hero. You know how to enjoy your senses unlimitedly. This way, this way, you can drink this, you can indulge in this way, in that way. By what are you doing? You're becoming a servant of your senses, and you're also becoming a hero. You're becoming a material hero. And by becoming a master of the senses, where you know how to control your senses, he also becomes a hero. It's a different kind of a hero. He becomes a hero or a Goswami or a spiritual hero. You choose. Hero is common. Whether you want to be known as a materially glorified person by being servant of your senses, or you want to become the spiritually glorified person by controlling your senses. And how strong and how important is hearing if you want to become the master of your senses, if you want to become a spiritual hero. It's very nicely given. But you will miss it out if you don't pay attention. In one place, Prabhupada says, I'll come to that a little later. So in Bhagavad Gita also, when Krishna is speaking the spiritual science to Arjuna, Arjuna expresses his inability and difficulty that it is very difficult for him to control his senses, especially his mind. Which verse it is? The verse is Chanchalam hi manah Krishna Pramathi Balavat Dridham Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Bayoriva Suduskaram. This verse is very, very important because it's about our own life. In our own life, where we are living with some instrument which we have very limited control, very less control. And the instrument that I am referring to, which Arjuna is referring to, is called our own mind. The first characteristics that Arjuna is using or he is referring to is Chanchalam, flickering. You are sitting here, where the mind has gone, who knows? What's going to happen? What are the challenges? Mind is just running, racing. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Pramathi is maddening. Doesn't allow you to do the right things. Not that easy. Intent may be there. You want to come. But just coming to the temple itself becomes so difficult. Pramathi. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Pramathi. Balavat is very strong. Balavat dridham. Obstinate. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna Pramathi Balavat Dridham. Tasyaham Nigraham Manye. To control this mind, I think this is far more difficult. Even, one can control the wind. Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Bayoriva Suduskaram. I may be possibly I may be able to control the wind, but I can't control the mind. That is where the Lord says something, and that if you remember, now how will you know what the Lord is saying unless you read? But even if you read, how will you know what the Lord's intent is unless you read the purport and get the essence? The next verse, Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamsayo Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena Chagrihyate. Asamsaya, undoubtedly, Arjuna, what you are saying is true. Asamsayo Mahabaho, mighty armed. You are actually a great warrior, but what you are saying, the point that you have touched, that's a very sensitive thing which all of us have. We acknowledge, but we don't express externally. But we are dealing with that mind which is flickering, which is maddening, obstinate, then Drudha, it's very strong, impetuous. So Krishna is saying, yes, asamsaya, no doubt. What you are saying is right. Asamsaya Mahabaho, Mano Durnigraham Chalam. Very difficult to control. But it is not impossible. And he uses two words. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. What is abhyas? Very good. Practice. What practice you will do? We say that, by practice and by detachment. What is the practice? You have to read the purport to be precise and hear the purport now. Prabhupada writes, the difficulty of controlling this is 6.35 purport, you can read afterward. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. A question which I was asking you, what is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. It's very difficult. This is Kali Yuga, the age of distractions, the age of quarrel, the age of dissension, the age of limited attention. We're struggling with, grappling with so many difficulties. Impossible to follow these rules and regulations. So then what do we do? Then Prabhupada is writing, by the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. And here is the key which Prabhupada is saying. Here pay attention. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is the practice. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. See, these are all secrets. These are not... So what is the practice? Why your mind is disturbing? What the Lord is suggesting? He's saying practice. What is the practice? The practice is hearing about Krishna. Why people find it difficult? Even if repeatedly said, even if it is mentioned in the scriptures so many times. Why do you think people find it? Is hearing really a difficult thing? It's not. We don't have our interest in the right place. I remember once having gone to one very rich donor's house in Bangalore, who's been a well-wisher to our temple for a long time. Very rich man, very influential man in the society. So he had called a senior devotee, and he told that they purchased a new house, and for the housewarming ceremony, he wants the devotees to come. So this devotee told, sure, we will be there, because after all it's a request from a very rich man. He didn't want to say no. And he said, he suggested that we generally do Narsimha Homa, which takes about 45 minutes to 1 hour, and we'll do that and we'll come back. The man from the other side on the phone, he is saying, Swamiji, this 45 minutes to 1 hour looks little difficult. I mean, it's little long. Can you reduce it? Can you make it in half an hour? So this devotee thought, okay, maybe a quick Narsimha Yagya, tak, tak. What is that? What verse we chant or Narsimha this thing? Ugram Viram Mahavishnu, Jalantam Sarvatomukham, Narsimam Bhishanam Bhadram, Mrityor Mrityam Namamyam. Tak, 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 we'll chant, we'll finish and come back. Then he's saying, no, half an hour is also difficult. It's a little too long. Can you reduce it? Maybe just 15 minutes. So this devotee is thinking in his mind, maybe no yajna. We'll just do Harinam Kirtan. We'll come back. 15 minutes, what else you can do? So he's thinking in his mind. Then he's saying, my sincere request, Swamiji, is if you can do it in 10 minutes. That will be the best thing. And when he's talking, on the other hand, there was a noise which is coming from the TV. There was an India-Pakistan match which was going on, and it was a very crucial this thing, and something happened, some wicket fell or something, and he's saying, there was a loud noise from the TV, and he said, Swamiji, actually I'll call you back, it's very important, I have to just, I can't right away, I can't talk to you right now, but I'll call you back. Kept the phone down. Of course, and he said, I'll call you back in 15 minutes, that never happened, he called afterwards, the next day. Where is the interest? For that particular match, he doesn't want to miss even one moment. When it comes to some spiritual activities, 10 minutes mein ho jaye to bas karna hai. Because wife is saying that something I have to do, I just should get done. That interest is not there. That's why Prabhupada is saying the first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about. People can't find it, no matter how much you repeatedly emphasize this, it doesn't come. And that eagerness is the key that we need to develop. Tatra laulyam ekamulam Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati yadyapi kutopi labhyate. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati. The consciousness which is imbued, which is soaked in Krishna bhakti, that consciousness, yadyapi kutopi labhyate, if you find it anywhere in this place, you must buy it. Tatra laulyam ekamulam. But the only price that you have to pay to get that is eagerness. That nobody can teach. I need to have that eagerness. And that doesn't come because we have not heard. Our interest in something gets developed by the attractiveness and by rational thinking. And both this attractiveness and rational thinking comes by hearing about that particular thing. Unless you hear, it's no attraction. So our life goes in something else, and we are talking about Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, which Arjuna told in Dwapara Yuga. What to speak about people like us in Kali Yuga who are struggling, and the Lord is giving the solution. Abhyasa. That abhyasa is this abhyasa. What is happening? So much this thing. Go. It's okay. Abhyasa. And that abhyasa is about hearing about Krishna. Prabhupada, when he established ISKCON in the US, and then he took some of his Western disciples to India, and the program that Prabhupada was doing in India was, he used to have some big pandal programs. First he had it in Mumbai. That was very successful. Thousands of people came in Mumbai. And from Mumbai he went to Delhi. There also he had the same pandal program, and there also thousands of people came. After Delhi, Prabhupada decided to have the pandal program in Calcutta. Calcutta, those days, used to have a lot of Naxalites. You know Naxalites? What do you know? Yeah, so they were saying that the poverty-stricken people should be given, there should be equal distribution of wealth, so you take it from the rich and distribute, something like Robin Hood, what he used to do, some of those mentalities. So they were dead against this program because apparently there's a lot of money being spent in organizing this program, and they were of the opinion, what is the use? Who benefits? What's the point doing such programs? So there were some flyers which the devotees had posted. So the idea was, you can make it as big as possible so that a lot of people get to hear about Krishna. That's how they were doing in those days. And there were flyers which were posted there. So what they had done was, I don't know what the flyer was, but they cut the flyer in such a way, and they took some letters, something from that, and it was sent to the devotees who were organizing, and it said, "Fly or die. Better you get rid of this place." They were all Westerners. "Fly or die." So the devotees informed Prabhupada that, this is what we are getting. They are threatening this thing from Naxalites. Fly or die. What should we do? Prabhupada said, "No, don't worry. We will do the program." So, as it so happened, because Prabhupada said, "Let the program happen," the program happened, and the Naxalites came, and they were having a lot of different weapons and sword, hockey sticks and things like that. They came and they started destroying the chairs, disrupting the public, and everybody was scared. Everybody was confused as to what needs to be done. Even though the police was present, police was not doing anything. So they were just about to threaten, making noise and all, and then everybody was fearful. At that time, Prabhupada was maybe 70 plus, 73, 74 years of old. He was there on the stage. Nobody else was there. He went close to the mic. He brought the mic close to him. Old man leaned forward and started chanting, "Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami." Prabhupada's voice was so filled with devotion, so pure. These people didn't know what to do. They left all their, hockey sticks, whatever they were carrying. Something they left from there. The program happened. And then after that there was a press reporter who was asking Prabhupada this question: "Why did you take this risk? What was the point having this kind of a program when you know that the Naxalites are threatening you and they were not allowing you to have this program? They were planning to disrupt this program. Knowingly, why did you do this?" You know what Prabhupada answered? Because it created a facility for people to hear about the Supreme Lord. Doesn't matter whether you are materially rich or poor. Everybody is poor because of lack of Krishna consciousness. And he's saying it is worth it. So imagine how important this hearing is. There is in the same verse towards the end, there's a line which comes: "The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna." Vairagya doesn't come just like that. It's not. More one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from. If you see Prabhupada in his own life, he says that when somebody recommended Abhay before he was Prabhupada, his name to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for initiation, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "Well, I remember, I recognize this boy because he comes and sits and he has a penchant for hearing. He has a thirst. He really hears very sincerely. I will initiate him." There was another incident when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was having this Vrindavan Parikrama, the 84 Coast Parikrama, and there were a lot of devotees who were present. It was a place called Koshi. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was not well, but the Parikrama party was going and seeing some devotees and seeing some different places. Most of the people went, except for Prabhupada, who stayed back. And Prabhupada later on recalls that actually whatever Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke was very difficult, because he speaks those philosophical things which are very difficult to fathom. It's not easy. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur noted that Prabhupada stayed to hear. Actually, what we will see, if we see the deities, what we will understand. What is our what is our this thing? What bhava, what this thing will come inside us? Unless we hear about the Lord. That is why the another name of the Lord is called Shrutekshita. You can only see him by hearing. Unless the hearing process is there, what you can figure out? Like there is the real life example of one devotee whose parents later on had come to see him. He was serving as a pujari in a temple, and his father, when he came and he saw that there were deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and his son was doing that pujari service, and they were standing before the deities with folded hands, and there were tears in their eyes. So this devotee thought, oh my God, what I wanted to convey, what I wanted to tell them, it had taken so long time, but finally at least there is a ray of hope that they're understanding that they're standing before the Lord. But when he went and asked them, so I'm very happy to see that you're having these tears in your eyes, that the parents, the father replied, actually, I didn't know, after all the reading and after studying so many things, finally you are serving some dolls. Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, they were crying for that. What we will understand about the Lord unless we hear? If we don't hear, and if we hear, the difference, if we don't hear, then we are having this strong identity on us. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a South Indian, I'm an American, I'm an African, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, and we identify with that. And that identity is so thickly imposed, we're not able to realize our spiritual position. A beautiful verse in Bhagavatam which comes, whether there is this quote, it says that in Kali Yuga, if you simply chant, or even if you cannot chant, because that requires a little fortune, if we simply hear, that will also help us. There's a verse which comes in Bhagavatam. It says, Sa uttama shloka mahan mukhachyuta. It's a beautiful verse. Sa uttama shloka mahan mukhachyuta. Bhavat padam bhoja sudha kananila. Smritim punar bismrita tattva vartamanam kuyoginam na bitarati alambarai. Why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was Srila Prabhupada was telling that he was very eager to hear from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. What is the reason behind that? This verse talks about this. This is a prayer by Prithu Maharaj. He says this, Sa uttama shloka mahan mukhachyuta. When we hear about the glories of the Lord from a pure devotee. Sa uttama shloka mahan mukhachyuta. From their mouth when we hear. Because that is the purity has power. So when we hear, what happens is, Bhavat padam bhoja sudha kananila. So these words which are coming out of the mouth of a pure devotee goes and touches the lotus feet of Krishna. Bhavat padam bhoja sudha kananila. And that one small particle, because these words have, this has vibrated and it has gone to the spiritual world and touched the lotus feet of Krishna, one dust particle comes. And that dust particle, if it hits us, then smritim punar, then we regain our memory. Smritim punar bismrita tattva vartamanam. Currently we are forgetful of our position as eternal soul. Smritim punar bismrita tattva vartamanam. Kuyoginam, we are kuyogi. We are deviated from our path. Kuyoginam, na bitarati, we don't have any interest. But that particle, when it hits us, then this thing happens. Some memory gets this thing revived. Smritim punar bismrita tattva vartamanam kuyoginam na bitarati alambarai. But the importance of hearing has to be, if you want to take it practically, how you want to apply it in your life, hearing can be of many types. Bhagavatam mentions that the first canto, third chapter, last verse, if you see in the purport, Prabhupada says, if the person who is speaking doesn't have any other hidden motive, ulterior motive, save and except glorify the Lord. And if the audience is eager to hear, no other agenda, no other these things, save and except hear the glorification of the Lord, Krishna manifests in that assembly. Krishna manifests. But really our hearing is that perfect? Do we hear it in that way? Whether I'm sitting here or there, the question is not about you. Question is about, we should ask ourselves, am I hearing in the right way? And if there is a right way, what is the right way of hearing? This is very important. There was a very famous Bhagavatam speaker of India. Before one of the talks, he had kept 3 dolls. And he kept 3 dolls. One was priced $1,000, one was priced $200, and the other one was priced $10. They all were looking identical. And he had kept it over there in front of his desk. So everybody was curious. They look identical. And before this Bhagavatam speaker, they have never seen something like this happening. Why has he kept it? So before he begins to speak, he wanted to illustrate this very important point. What he did was, he asked his servant to get one stick. So the servant brought one stick, and that first doll which was there at $10, when he put that stick inside the ear, the stick broke. Nothing, it didn't go inside. The second one, which was priced in between, whatever, $100, $500, he put the stick here, it came out from here. The third one, the stick went inside, but didn't come out here. What it tries to say, or what it's trying to convey is, we sit here physically. Physically we are present, but our mind is somewhere else. Nothing has gone inside. All the things that came in the ear holes, it has bounced back. You are busy in some other thoughts. There's a very nice story about Sant Tukaram. Tukaram was very absorbed in glorifying the Lord. I mean, they are pure devotees. There is no satiation, there is no tiredness, there is no exhaustion, there is nothing like, oh my God, when it will get over. Nothing of that sort. He started speaking in the evening. There were some people, and he started speaking 8 p.m., 10 p.m., 12 a.m., then 6 a.m. in the morning. Everybody has left, nobody is around. There's only one person who was sitting. Tukaram said, you are Mahatma. Who are you? Where did you come from? And how come you are sitting here? He had no sense of time, and he was very happy to see somebody who doesn't have any sense of time. He said, no, Maharaj. Actually, I was sitting here to take the asana on which you are sitting, because otherwise if I go empty-handed, my wife will scold me. So why are we hearing? I mean, you are sitting here. Maybe we have an ulterior motive. When this class will get over, there will be prasadam after that. So then it is not, so nothing is going actually. I'm just sitting physically. Mind is somewhere else. The second one is, it comes in this year, it goes in that year. Fat, over. You go out, kya tha, acha, badhiya, bahut acha bola. So everything is good. No, the real hearing process is, it has got 3 parts. Hearing is just the physical act of hearing is what you heard now, that is called Shravanam, then it has to be churned. That is called Mananam. Like you eat something. Somebody has kept very nice food in front of you. Food is looking very tempting. Unless you put that food in your mouth and chew it, what is the point seeing that, so nice this thing, there's paneer sabji, there's pulao, raita, everything. No, you have to chew it. And once you chew it, it should go inside and it should get mixed in your, the digestion should happen and the nutrient should get mixed in your blood so that you get nourished. Similarly, Shravanam is Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Hear, and after that, it's not like, okay, oh yeah, aaj ka khatam, kal ka kal dekhenge. No, meditate. Meditate on what you heard. Ruminate like a cow. And after rumination, apply that in your life. Nididhyasana. Otherwise, what is the point hearing? You hear, but nothing. No transformation inside. It's just information. So, this is the translation of this. There are actually Bhagavatam mentions there are types of hearing. And this is what I just wanted to conclude with. There are types of hearers. Whether I am a good listener or not, whether I am a bad listener or not, how should I hear? This is not my invention, by the way. This is Skanda Purana, which talks about what are the types of good hearers, what are the type of bad listener. See, right now I am trying to avoid, because there is some echo which is coming, right? There is a noise which is coming because of the mic, and I am trying to go back. And now this door is opened. Now he'll do some bell will be rung, right? Now all these sounds are going, You may not pay attention to those, and you'll still pay attention to what I'm saying if your attention is here. Otherwise, there is something which is somebody is walking in, somebody is doing something, some sound is coming from there, something, this thing, your mind is getting distracted. That's not hearing. Hearing is when you are not bothered, your attention is fixed, fully fixed. And there are types of good listeners and bad listeners. The first one is Chataka bird. Chataka bird is one who waits, doesn't drink from anything, from anywhere. He waits for the rain to come, and then only it drinks and it quenches its thirst. Like that, one should be Chataka bird. Eagerly waiting, like, when that, some constellation, when that rain, the pure raindrop comes, I'll hear, not, okay, aaj ye nahi hai, kal mein kahin se bhi kuch bhi, some random person who has got no qualification but has a YouTube followership or something, and you start hearing. You have to be very chaste. One has to be like a swan. Like the swan which can extract the milk from milk and water, one should be able to extract the essential. Some people, they just hear some stories from here and there, something here and there. No, get the essence, the sara. Extract the essential teachings while listening. One has to be like a parrot. Just as a parrot recites whatever it has been taught, one should be able to repeat and recite what has been given by the acharyas, revealed scriptures. You should be able to repeat and recite. One should be like a fish. Fish doesn't have eyes, it doesn't blink. It just drinks, without even blinking its eyes. One should listen with full focus and relish. That attention is needed. Otherwise, hearing is not effective. Simply hearing, what is the point? And everything remains the same. Or jathapurvam tathaparam. There are some bad examples which are there of listeners. The first one is called wolf. It is mentioned like the wolf howls. I don't know how it does, but it frightens the deer, right? Who's attracted by the sweet sound. Similarly, some people, they'll be sitting, they will not put their mobile in silent phone. They will do some noise, they'll do some distractions. Somebody is hearing, that whole thing it's not mine. This is Bhagavatam, this is Skanda Purana is saying. They are like a wolf kind of a listener. This is Skanda Purana saying. Your mobile rings means you are a wolf. Then there is a Bhurunda bird. There's a Bhurunda bird which lives in Himalayas. It tells everyone whatever it has heard. हाँ मैं सुना हूँ वो प्रभु ने बोला था उस दिन हाँ बट कुछ नहीं हाँ ये मुझे मालूम है what is that body so I know but so nothing. So it keeps saying that I have heard, I know everything. Actually, a person who's genuinely has developed that eagerness, he doesn't feel that this is old or I have heard this, I know this. Eagerly waiting to hear. Because this is Nava Rasa, there is newness in this. The Lord is infinite, unlimited. How can His glories, which are non-different from Him, be limited by just hearing? So unlimited glories. Then there is a bull. Bull is who doesn't distinguish between eating grapes and pungent oil cakes. The person who listens to everything without intelligence and discrimination is called a bull listener. So without any of this thing, so he hears a Mayavadi also, he hears this thing also, he hears some other things also, and everything he is hearing. And there is a camel. Camel is someone who's actually rejecting the mango leaves and chew the thorny things. So you hear everything, but because your mind and this thing, intelligence is contaminated, impure, you keep on doing what you like to do. Yeah, but then you continue with that. So if we hear attentively, which is required, that practice, we develop Krishna Prema. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Suddha Chitte, Karayodaya. This Krishna Prema is there in our heart. Everybody's heart, it is there in fully blossomed state. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi. When you hear, Suddha Chitta, Chitta becomes pure, Karayodaya, it becomes manifest. So these are some of the important things about the process of hearing. We'll continue to see and read more about these three things. I'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki